The remainder of my time in Los Angeles was mostly uneventful. I'm not exactly a touristy person. I don't really go to tourist attractions. And we did do one attraction when we got there that I forgot to mention. We got into the town and everything, and we kind of left our stuff at the hostel, and we went on one of those Starline tours where you're in a little van or a bus or whatever, and they've improved it since. But you drive around to all these sort of hot spots. So it's kind of like that thing in the movie where you have somebody on like a double-decker bus and they're on the top and they're on their little microphone and they're saying, "Over here is the house of Mel Gibson." It wasn't really like that, but at the same time, you know, maybe we just had the crappy version. I don't know. But apparently Starline Tours is the big one. And they just, I guess anybody's allowed to fucking make one. Like, they had a normal everyday sort of caravan style late 80s, mid 90s van. They just cut the top off, and it's almost as if they just put electrical tape or duct tape on the top so they weren't jagged anymore. It was so janky, and the dude expected like a $20 tip. I'm like, you're doing your fucking job. Why do I have to tip you shit? It makes no sense. I hate our tipping system in this country. It's retarded. That's another topic for another day. We finished that, we get back to the hostel, and that's essentially when I found my friend, went over to his house. And I didn't really do anything. I just kind of like stayed at Hollywood and Highland for the majority of the time when I was there. But when it was time for me to leave, I was there for about 5 days. And I got to the Greyhound station, and the next trip out was pretty late. I want to say it was like 2 in the morning, or even later, maybe 4. And I was there, I want to say like 9. So I had a good long window between now and then. And I'm like, I'm not going to just sit in Greyhound and twiddle my fucking thumbs for 5 hours or however long it was going to be. So I'm like, all right, let's look for a bar. Hopefully there's one nearby. Well, there just happened to be one right down the street on 7th and Mateo. And I want to say it's Tony's Cocktails. Well, I went down there and it was closed. Because at the time, Google Maps wasn't exactly accurate when it came to time. Like, there were no schedules available at this point. Remember, this is like 5 years ago. So Google Maps didn't have, hours in most cases. Occasionally you could find hours, or you could click on the link. Sometimes if there was a link, I mean, Google Maps was so unreliable at times. It was just really good for maps, and that was it. It didn't have really any other information, and I'm so much happier that it's so much better now. So I walked down there, like I said, and it was closed. But there was a dude sitting outside the building. I'm like, what the hell? So I look, and it's a pizza shop in the same exact building, just like kind of next door to it. And it's a place called Pizzanista. And it's owned by Salman Agha, who is a former pro skater. And he apparently pioneered the switch stance, which is kind of like being ambidextrous when it comes to skating. I'm not a skater. I've eaten too much shit as a child, and I never decided to, get back up. I think I may have ridden my old crappy skateboard a total of like 10 times, and I just didn't do well, and I didn't like falling, so I'm like, no more of this, thanks. But most people stand on a skateboard with a specific foot forward and a specific foot backward, and that's it. That's like how they skate. And well, apparently with the switch stance is that you can switch the other way around. And supposedly, again, I'm not a big skater, I don't really know, so if you're a skater, put a comment down below, I don't mind. Inform me, I love being informed about this stuff. But it's like, it's gonna change how you skate. And just like if you were trying to write with your left hand, if you were right-handed or vice versa, when you have your dominant hand or your dominant foot changed positions, it's gonna change how you do things. Now, if you do it often enough, you can learn to be ambidextrous, and thus you can learn all the fun stuff that's involved with it. Kind of like how Dimitri Martin draws and writes freaking with both of his hands in mirrored fashion. Crazy, talented jackass. So, I would recommend heading down to Pizzanista. It's still available, and Tony's Saloon is right next door to it. In fact, I believe there is, like, you can be in the bar and order pizza from Pizzanista and have them sort of slide it through, which is just like, that to me is the right way to do stuff. If you're two businesses in the same building, instead of trying to compete against each other, work with each other. I highly recommend it. It's in the Arts District, so there's a lot of great places down there. Some of it's relatively expensive, some of it's reasonably priced. And I would recommend that Pizzanista and Tony Saloon are both actually really reasonably priced. You get some big pieces of pizza for not too bad. I mean, they're really good quality as well. I mean, their ingredients are great. And I know that sounded like it was supposed to be an ad, but the thing is like, I really remembered this from the first night. And when I ended up coming back to LA, I still remembered, and I still do now. You know, I had a really quality experience when I was there, and I don't feel like avoiding that just because it might sound like I'm some sort of shill. Besides, if I was a shill, I wouldn't be struggling right now, okay? Now, the funny thing is that the guy that was sitting there eating pizza was actually the doorman / security guard / bouncer for the saloon next door. And they weren't, like I said, they weren't open yet, but I started talking to him, you know, asking him some questions about the bar and the food and all that, and then just chilling out and relaxing all cool and shooting some b-ball nowhere at all near schools. And so I guess me being the charming guy I am, I don't know, he was like, hey, yeah, let's come on inside. You know, I'll let you in a little early and we can sort of tour the place. I'm like, hey, this is cool. So I get in there, and I mean, obviously there's nobody there. And this is, I think, the first time in my life where when I entered a bar, there was nobody behind the bar. Wait, no, that's probably happened a lot of times. That says a lot, sadly, about bartenders sometimes. No, I mean, this is the first time I've ever entered into an entirely empty bar. And it was kind of neat, you know, just seeing a bar in its sort of default normalized state, if you will. And by that time, even though this was maybe 2 weeks into my travels, I was probably halfway down through my money because I suck at money management. I'm way better at it now because I have less, but I still suck at it. And then I definitely sucked at it. And so I was kind of hesitant about buying more booze. But here's the crazy thing, right? When that place opened, it was packed fast. Within 30 minutes, it was virtually standing room only. Like, that's how popular this place was. And the beer was reasonably priced yet again. I mean, it wasn't like club prices where you pay $9 for a fucking bottle. You know, I still paid a decent amount because I had a Boddington's and I've never had it before at that point. And like, I try it out. It's not my kind of beer, but it was worth the price considering. And while I was there and I was talking and whatnot, there was this woman who I ended up talking to for a little bit. And there were some elements to her that I found attractive. She had some big tits that I was impressed with. They appeared to be fake, and I didn't give a shit, to be honest. So I talked to her for a little bit, and I'm pretty sure she knew I was attracted to her. And she's a bit older too, and I'm not typically into older women. She just happened to be attractive. That's for another podcast on another day. So after we got to talking, she wanted to get out of there. And, you know, I've watched enough movies, and I'm like, hey, you want to get out of here? That's usually like an indicator of stuff. And I'm pretty sure she knew that too, because based on my experiences from this point out, looking back, I'm like, she just needed an escort to walk her around so she could go have fun and pay a little extra money. Because she, you know, we went to this other place and it took us a while to walk there. And apparently, like, because of where the Arts District is, and what I didn't know at the time is that Skid Row was really, really fucking close. Like, across the street kind of close. Not necessarily literally, but there were a lot of people down there that kind of skulked around and were, you know, it's just, it is what it is in a lot of ways. And so she obviously wanted to feel some kind of protection. And besides, you know, if you can get some idiot schmuck who wants to follow your tits around to take a knife for you when the time comes, yeah, why not? You know, it only cost you $15-20 tops. And that's about how much she paid. And I think she ended up buying like 2, maybe even 3 drinks total for me. And I mean, mostly it ended up being kind of the opposite of what I would prefer when it comes to interactions. We just kind of bar hopped, but in just like, I like bar hopping, but I prefer to bar hop with people where I can have a conversation with and go to bars where conversations can be had. And I know that this is kind of a dumb thing because most bars, they want them to be super popular. They want to have as many people in there as possible because they want to make as much money as possible. And alcohol sales have a huge markup, and so the more people, the better. Yay! So we get back to her apartment outside, in front of the front door. And she has this sort of magnetic thing on her key ring, and she taps, that opens the door, and I'm like, what the hell kind of place is this? Now, in my mind, being the ignorant douche that I am, I'm thinking, this chick is rich. She is like loaded as fuck. No, not so much. This is normal in LA, in certain apartment complexes and the like, because there are so many people in this area, and there are a lot of people who want to be unsavory in their actions. There's a lot of locked apartment complexes. Now, yes, most places that have an apartment complex where you need some sort of like electronic device or key or whatever to get into, they're going to be higher up in prices. But I mean, you can easily get an apartment for $1,000 out here to have that kind of technology at the front gate. It's just like having the keypad, except because there's a lot of pedestrian traffic in these areas, and because the Arts District is an old warehouse district, a lot of these apartments and lofts have been renovated. So it's like almost as if they're hidden in this industrial place. So you've got these nice buildings that have been inserted into the shell of these older, dingy buildings, but they're still surrounded by other older, either abandoned or dingy buildings. So the place has this weird aesthetic that has this like, hey, it's really inviting and dangerous. So it invites more danger, essentially. Because there's lots of places that are nice and dark and you can't see shit. And then there's places that are nice and lit up because, hey, this is a new building. We're going to put lights over here. We're not going to put lights down alleyways and shit unless it's our building. So I can kind of understand why somebody would feel a little unease in a situation like that. And I felt it too when I was walking around in areas like that. Not only then, but also now. And, I'm thinking, I've been a good boy. I've done all I've told. I'm going to go upstairs and I'm going to bang this chick. Nope. Well, that sucks. So I'm drunk with a bit of blue balls. I'm not like super drunk, but I'm still drunk enough. And I got the blue balls. I'm like, fuck. So I walk back to the Greyhound station, semi-sober up, and I get on my bus heading up towards San Francisco.